Awesome.
Wonderful. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Ginger. Good afternoon, Corla. You have been a regular on our show so far. So we have the wonderful Marie Fratoni here today of Get Clients Everywhere. And welcome to Connect and Create. This is the third episode, and I'm so happy to have all of you here, but I'm especially happy to welcome Marie Fratoni. Now I'm going to share just a little about Marie Fratoni before she shares all that she has to share with us today. And Marie Fratoni and I first met in a fabulous set of courses and about transformation, the wisdom course. We have participated together in a global coaching course. We have gone to Spain together. We have gone to Italy. We have painted along the seasides of both places and the fields and we've been all over Tuscany. We ate, drank, and were merry and painted all over Italy. So that's one side of Marie. Now Marie is known for her Get Clients Everywhere, as well as the WPDN, which is the Women's Professional Development Network. And Marie has so much to share. I participated in some of Marie's networking courses, right? And I am a fan of Marie Fratoni, and that's why I've invited her here to be on our episode 3 of Connect and Create. And Marie will be speaking about the art of networking.
Thank you. Do you want me to just go?
You go, Marie, and just make sure to leave a few minutes at the end for some question and answer.
I will.
And you are off the floor.
And feel free to, you know me, you know what we do, and you've participated, so, feel free to really share. But I just want to say thank you for the opportunity and to welcome all of the guests that are listening. I'm in Atlanta, and and I'm a fan of Corrina's as well. We've done a lot of really fun things together, and I was appreciative of the opportunity that she was creating this platform called Connect and Create. And when she invited me to speak, we thought about, how can I connect what it is that I do to the art community and to relate it to either artists or people that are looking at what is the creation of all of this. And, being in business is a creation. It is an art form, especially being a successful business is like an art form. And so I took a couple of notes to kind of adapt what it is that I usually speak about to see how it would make a difference for the audience here and the people that will be listening in the future during the replays. And one of the things that I really thought about is people know me in my world since I was a kid. As somebody who is always chatty, always, connecting people, always got bad marks in conduct growing up in school because I was always with my friends. My friends were important, and my friends were the best to me. Today, as an adult, my friends are the best to me as well. I mean, it's I spend a lot of time with my friends. My network is my friends. My community is my friends. And what I want to do is really help connect and help my community prosper. And building a business, one of the first pillars, if you will, of building a business is really being with people and connecting with people. And in the business world, that's often called networking or building your professional network. So the piece that is there is to really look at how do you actually connect with people. And we named this talk The Fine Art of Connecting, or The Fine Art of Networking and Connecting. And I was really thinking about how is networking like fine art? I think that'd be a good place to talk. So, and feel free to jump in, Corrina. But I would say that, when you think of an artist, and I think of Corrina, she has spent years developing her craft, her art, her skills, her exposure, her presence in the world, the connections that she's built in that community. She has a huge community and a huge network of artists. Corrina, if you know anything about Corrina, Corrina's like the Pied Piper. She just has people that follow her all over the place. I know, right? When you got it, you got it. But it didn't always start that way. You know, we all started, we had to kind of finesse our way, which is another word about like fine art is finessing, is how do you actually get to be with people and how do you build relationships professionally so that they might lead you to business, they might lead you to somebody else's business. We never know where it leads to. And to help us identify our clients, the people that are buying our programs or our services or our products, you know, we all have to start somewhere and we really learn. In the wonderful world of networking, you know, I actually have coined a phrase that's called becoming a savvy networker. And the reason I say savvy is that I've been leading professional networks for over 40 years in the Boston area for a number of years. And then here in Atlanta, WPDN is a 10-year-old organization. So I'm not new at this. I jokingly say, even on my business card says, I'm the queen of connecting or the world's best networking coach. And I said, it must be true because it's on my business card. But what happens is, you know, I took many classes years ago because when I first started connecting and being at professional meetings, I wasn't always successful. And I was always in sales. I've always been in some kind of selling capacity for everything I've done. And sometimes people would run away from me. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Like they go like, oh, here she comes. I'm going to get a pitch, you know, or something like that, you know. And I had to really learn that I didn't want to offend people and I didn't want to repel people, but I wanted to really keep them in my orb, so to speak, or my circle so that I would be able to do different things. And so I just had to really look. I've read books. You know, when people started really networking and coining the word networking as a distinction, if you will, for networking, that was probably in the early 90s. And a colleague of mine, Susan Rowan, wrote a great book called How to Work a Room. I've known Susan for many, many years since then. I've trained with her on stages and have recommended her books and programs. And she was one of the first mentors of that. And that kind of led me on a path of how is it that some people are really adept at connecting with people. They've studied. If you look at the masters, you know, there's a reason that something, you know, that Corrina has in a National Historic Site or here in Atlanta, or somebody's beautiful painting that's in the National Gallery of Art. They didn't just say, I'm going to do a painting and it's going to be in the Gallery of Art. They had to build themselves. They had to study. They work with the masters. They put in, you know, one of our friends always talks about brush mileage. They had to put the brush mileage in day after day after day to accumulate the level of expertise.
She was
Sorry,
the brush mileage person was our speaker yesterday.
Yeah. And, you know, so it's like we have to really look at how do we get to be really good? Because if you've ever been to, I just want to do a little show of hands because I don't know our guests that are here. Do you go to networking events? Just kind of show it. Yeah. Look, sometimes. Yeah. And yeah. Well, yeah, you know, the thing that people do is my experience is the vast amount of people across the world, because I've done networking events around the world. They'll go to a networking event. They'll go with the spirit of what is it that I can get? Where is it that I can pitch my program? Who can I sit next to? What do I want to have for lunch or for dinner? What can I do? What can I do? And people are very focused on themselves. That's not a bad thing. It's just not going to help them connect with other people because the other people that are there are concerned with themselves. So when you get a person that's concerned with themselves and another person that's concerned with themselves, it's like it's almost repellent as opposed to attractive. And so what I've had to learn is like, what has people say to me? How is it that you can meet people in a minute and you feel like you're best friends with them? I'm interested in them. I'm not interested in everybody, but when someone's interesting, I can become interested, or I can be interesting and therefore someone might be interested in what I'm saying. So I like to pay attention to, different things that are happening with that. And I think that we all have to really learn that there's a lot of people that go networking. There's a zillion networks, and I think we've probably got all women on this call here today. There's a zillion, wherever you're located. I'd love to hear where you're from. But Ginger, where are you from? And you can like unmute yourself if you want.
I live in Washington, D.C.
Awesome. What a great town that is. That's a great place. And I can't see.
Corlia.
Say it again.
Corlia.
Okay, great. So, if you Google like women's professional networks, there's a zillion of them out there. And if you go in with a strategy, if you go in with a particular way of being, if you go in with a way that is going to be helping you to find your ideal clients, then when you add some strategic thinking to your networking, it can be really, really, really powerful. Otherwise, we all just get really busy going to networking events, and sometimes it's not real fruitful. You go there and you exchange business cards and you come home and you have a stack of business cards and you go, okay, now what do I do? How do I sort through this? Or I've just got this collection of stuff, but I'm not sure how to really work it. So we have to finesse ourselves. One of the things that I do in helping people build their business is one of the pillars is around networking and connecting with people. And a lot of times people will go to a networking event just to sell things. Have you ever experienced that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost the thing that we don't want to do at a networking event, but it's hard to control that because if people are concerned with themselves, if they're concerned with themselves on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's food, clothing, and shelter called I've got to take care of myself first. Nothing wrong with that. But it's like really stepping into where are people at that organization. So if someone came up to me and said, I'd like to take your program or I'd like to talk to you about it, I'm not going to sign them up right there unless I'm leading the event and I'm making some sort of an offer. But I would say to them, great, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Let's get out our calendar. Let's book a time for us before we leave. So outside of the event, we can have that conversation so that I can actually go be with people at the event and maybe meet several people, So does that make sense? So, just want to give, some things there. One of the things that I do regularly is I lead a program. It's called Networking Savvy. And I was sharing with Corrina that I wasn't, she's taken it actually a few times because it's just a fun program. And you learn a lot of good skills and it's got a great structure to help you actually get the work done of connecting with people wherever they are. And I wasn't actually going to lead the program, but then given the state of our world right now, where, I was saying to Corrina, many people are feeling a little Zoom fatigued, spending a lot of time on Zoom. And I like that because that's usually where I lead my programs anyway, so I'm used to it. But there's a lot of people that don't know how to be on Zoom. There's a lot of people that don't know how to connect with their ideal clients, or they don't have a strategy for what to be on in Zoom, how to be on in Zoom, how to show up, how to really display their presence as best they can. And I thought, there's a lot of people today, and I'm hearing this in my community, that have lost their jobs. They're not going to go back to a job. I know I have one corporate client that they just closed the doors for good, and now 30 people in that business are out looking for jobs. So there are people that are looking to build their network for interview sakes. And then also there are a lot of people that have been working on something, maybe a business part-time, but they've had a full-time job with benefits or even a part-time job. And now that's not here anymore. And so they're looking at how can I actually really let loose and really build my business. And networking leads to sales, leads to speaking, leads to events. It leads to a lot of different things. But I decided to, dust off that program and actually really, I always say, zhuzh it up. because the course that I'll be leading next is not the same course that I've been leading for a number of years. I've probably been teaching it for, I think, 9 or 10 years. Yeah, Corrina.
You know, Marie, just a quick question. Now, I have been a participant, and I'm a huge fan, by the way, of Networking Savvy. I think I've taken it 3 times. And I've noticed that you said zhuzh it up, right? I've noticed that you have made adjustments and changes. And I love what you talked about earlier about being interested as well as interesting, right? Yeah. The latter being more interested in the people. So my question for you, Marie, is inside of this new revised version of Networking Savvy, you know, what would be like the thing that you're most excited about that you're sharing? And then what would be one of the biggest breakthroughs you've heard from one of your clients that have taken Network Savvy? Just add that in a little bit while you're explaining it, just so we get it right on the quote.
Yeah, sure. Well, one is that, you know, I have to pay attention, I think, with any of our businesses today, like you've just done this by creating this whole new platform, is we want to be relevant to what's happening in the world. And it's very important. I mean, I love getting an email every day from one of my favorite Mexican restaurants here in the Atlanta area, and he created a newsletter. He calls it the Daily Taco. You know, and it's just fun, you know, and he's really wanting to take care of his staff, and he's coming up with creative ways to do it. And I love the innovation that takes place. And so, I mean, some of the content that I teach is really basic, elementary, like how do you show up at a meeting? What do you do at a meeting? What not to do at a meeting? You know, the tools you need at a meeting, that stuff is going to stay the same. It's, you know, it's tried and true. But the way that I'd be leading it would be a little bit different, because we're going to focus now. I mean, no one's going to a networking event now. This is a networking event. You know, Corrina has assembled people together that they can connect with each other on the chat bar. You can share your information and, you know, connect with each other on your own. But she's provided a space and an environment where we can all do that. So what I'll be focusing on is, first of all, really like being, the state of being, of who we're being in the matter of our business, who we're being in the matter of going out and connecting. Why do you even want to connect with people? What's available to you? And really spending some time personally. And so I've got some new material with that. Because I've had my coaches have said to me, there's something that you do that has you connect with people and have you be wanted to be a speaker on a lot of different stages. And because I'm good with their audiences. And so that didn't just happen. I mean, I've been at this for a long time, but that would be one place that's different. And the other is the people are different. You know, it's a different audience. You know, this year we've got people coming from Colorado. We've got people from Florida. We've got people from Texas, you know, wherever they end up coming from. And what I'll do is I'll pay attention to who's in the group and look at the needs that are there. And also to spend some time on how do you network and connect online? How do you find your audience? How do you find your people? How do you connect with groups? How do you show up in groups? How do you be in groups? How do you show up on a Zoom? What are you doing while you're in Zoom? I mean, there's a lot of things that right now are very relevant to what people are really doing now. Yeah, Corrina.
I was just going to say, I was leading a conversation in Zoom, and I was acknowledged for creating a beautiful background. And as an artist, I started thinking about that. I was like, it was comfortable on my couch, but I was like, okay, you can see half my painting, my photograph, you can, you know what I mean? You can see my living stuff. And, you know, I was a guest, like you're a guest now, on someone's project, talk. And I really started thinking like, wow, I'm presenting myself on this stage. What do I want to talk about? And how does my environment reflect that? So I just love that you said that, because it's something to think about, right?
It's great. You've got beauty as a piece of it. You've got not only that, but you've got a beautiful orchid that's there that's saying that. I have, maybe if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it a little bit, but I've got a nice little piece of fine art in back of me as well. But to go back to the artist thing, I mean, why is it the fine art of networking? You know, the one thing I would want to say is that we all are a piece of art. And how do we show ourselves? I mean, you can have a piece of art that could be like a scrap paper. It could be a little kid's drawing that's stuck on a refrigerator. It could be a beautiful fine art piece that's beautifully framed. And when you put the beautiful frame around it, the art gets to be expressed more beautifully. What's the frame in which we put ourselves in? how do we develop ourselves so that when we go there, someone says, wow, I want to know that person. I may not be interested in buying what they have to buy right away, because sometimes that takes relationships. But how do we actually, I always say in a lot of my programs that when we show up, it matters. But how we show up matters as well. And so there's little things that people can learn to be able to do that. And I think for all of us to be in the best shape of doing it. Corrina and I were texting earlier, I was on some calls and I was on a training right before this. And I said, I need, a minute to get myself together. And I said, I've got to put my makeup on. I've got to comb my hair, all these things, because, if I'm the masterpiece, I would look and say, okay, we are all masterpieces and we are our own masters as well. So how do we really treat ourselves like a master rather than somebody flies into an event, sits down, arrives late, shows up, leaves early, is not really booked, and there's the Tasmanian devil, that is showing up at meetings, and then people get to experience that. So I do think that in the networking savvy programs, and then when I work with entrepreneurs, we really help them to be strategic. Are they going to the right events? Are they meeting people in the right way? Where are the events that would probably be best for them? Where do they find their clients? And so there's just a lot to it. So a lot of times when I teach a class, I try to, obviously I have my skeleton, my bare bones of what I'm going to teach, but then I adapt it to, who's, in that audience. But I think that's the biggest thing that I would say is that we are the masterpiece. And how do you showcase yourself as the masterpiece of your business? I'm going to guess that you may be artists. Are you both artists? Okay, great. So if I learned more about the kind of art that you do, where you're doing that, what you want to have happen with your business, how you want to meet your prospective patrons, the buyers, the collectors, all of those things, that's very important. That could help guide you in your way of being able to do that. I dabble at art. I mean, I play, Corrina knows I'm a dabbler. And we've had many a good laugh over my artistic creations. But my seminars are artistic creations. The way that I can facilitate a group is actually a work of art as a facilitator. I've actually won awards for that. So it's, it's interesting, but it didn't start that way. I had to start by following some masters and following some leaders and taking a lot of classes. And I wanted to just share something for you to consider. I lead a networking group. I've been doing that for a long time because I'm just a leader. I'm a terrible manager, but I'm a good leader. And, but one of the things that I don't go to a lot of networking events personally. Now I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm kind of I'm at the probably the end of my career, compared to maybe where some of you are. But where I often will go to conferences, and I go to events, and I go to seminars, and I go to workshops. And for me, that's actually where I find most of my clients, because they're there, they're learning, they're growing, they're investing in themselves, they're hungry for knowledge, and it's good there. I'm going to take a minute and just look at the chat for a minute so I can see what you might have shared here. Corrina has put down a link if you'd like to see a little bit more about the Networking Savvy program. It's actually going to start April 24th, which is Friday. So you can copy that link, and access it. And you can check on it. And if you are so interested, you can register. It's going to be for, I actually threw in a whole month for free since we're all home. We're not going anywhere. So I kind of threw in a whole month for free so that people could have the ongoing support that they would want to have that. Plus, when people join Networking Savvy, this is my big pitch, they will automatically have a community that they can share with. They'll have a whole new community that didn't exist until they register. So we'll have an online, piece of that, which is kind of fun. And Michelle is asking how much of the Networking Savvy program is dedicated to learning more about online networking. Perfect. Yeah. Online, we will certainly look at that. It may not be the first day. The first day we're going to do is the launch and kind of setting up all the pieces so you really understand how that works and what's available to you. But because I use the word sequestered, here at home, you know, we're going to definitely look at how do you really connect with people online. And there'll be some open coaching calls to just like do Q&A to really help and be present to what it is that you want to do. And what I always say to people is that this may or may not be of interest to you, or it might not be the right thing for you at this time, but you may know somebody that this would really make a difference for. They're kind of, some people are suffering being at home. You know, some people are like they don't know where to go, what to do, but they still want to keep their business going. They still want to do those things. That's what I want to make a difference for. So you can be great networkers, as Corrina did. She's kind of like she's cast her net, so to speak, with her people. And that's what networking is you actually work your net, the net of people, the net of contacts. And if more people shared, it would just be, you know, pretty awesome. So you can consider doing that. So yeah, we'll do online stuff. Yeah, Corrina.
Quick question, Marie, if, and I know we have just a few minutes left here, so I want to leave a minute or two for any questions.
Sure.
But if you were to speak to someone who's like, say, starting a new career, what would be one of the number one things you'd want to say to them regarding networking?
Well, I would say for most people in business, we need people who are our buyers, who are going to buy our services, buy our products, buy whatever it is that we're doing. If there's nobody buying something, then there is no business. That's the definition of business, you know, creating, you know, transacting between people. And even if it's a company, it's still selling, you know, products to a company as opposed to an individual. So I think that, you know, we need to find the right people who have access to the right people, who have access to the decision makers, who have access to whatever it is. And I think it all starts with people.
Yeah.
And it's like how that's part of the strategy. That's why when I teach as a coach, you know, we really look at a few different areas. One is building your business through networking. And then from networking, we move to sales, because many people really need the experience of selling and the training in the process of selling. And then we look at how can you have events, like artists have galleries, they have showings. I mean, I went to Corrina's, the gun show not a gun show, what is it? The gallery with all the guns or whatever. It sounded kind of funny when I said that. But that was amazing. That was a great event. I mean, that was like, I just thought that was a really inspiring event. Yeah. And guess what? I met people. I saw people. She couldn't have had that gallery experience if there weren't people there. Yeah. And she found clients, and she has patrons, and those patrons do business with her, where she earns her income. So it all starts with her. It all starts with her art. It starts with her creativity and her ideas. But when she's creating a masterpiece, she starts with a strategy. It all starts here. The same as in networking and building a business. So if that's...
Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you. I just know that we have a few people that are like thinking about new careers and getting ready to, you know, like try something new out, right? And sometimes we hear, oh, I'm going to go network. It's like, oh, I'm, you know, I've got something and it's a product and I'm going to sell it. But sometimes networking is really that discovery of who do you want to work with, I think,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's very good.
I'd love to just put an underline on, there's something that was one of the most helpful things that I'm so happy you brought up, and that's being interested as well as being interesting, right? As an artist, you can think of like Salvador Dali, all those people, and you think about how interesting they are. And so a big part of my life, I thought, oh, I have to go be interesting. And when I heard that, it was like light bulbs. I was like, wow. And I noticed the more I get interested in what other people are up to, especially in a social engagement or a networking environment. I mean, look at these calls. I could just talk every single time about myself, but I'm actually interested in who are the people around me, such as Marie, and what do they have to offer other people, right? So it's a great example right there.
It's powerful because you're using your platform to invite other people in that can affect your community.
Yeah.
It's just like in WPDN, the community that I lead, you know, I don't speak at it. I mean, I facilitate it, but I always have a different speaker, and they're speaking to 50 people at a shot. Yeah. You know, and they're being promoted online for a month on that. As a matter of fact, I would like to extend an invitation that on the 29th of April at noon Eastern time, we're having our virtual WPDN meeting. so you can actually see a networking event. You're welcome to connect up. What I can do is I can send the link. You can find us. I think it's called, well, you could go to my website, which is getclientseverywhere.com. Maybe Corrina could type that in the chat for me. And you could look at WPDN, you could look at it, and there's a link there if you want to register. You know, it's $25 to go, but you'll be part of that. You'll get a chance to introduce yourself and see connecting. And this topic is about getting your book written. So it's another piece of art, you know, with somebody who's helping people get their books written or started, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and I have worked with her before. So it could be something that you just get another exposure to people, and there'll be a chat box and people can connect. And if you're interested in what somebody has to say, you know, it's all about networking. We provide platforms for people to connect. My tagline in my business is called Connecting Made Fun and Easy. And that's what I like it to be for people. Where, you know, even for the introverts of the world, you know, there's a lot of people that are really happy they're home now. So, yeah. The website is getclientseverywhere.com.
I put it in the chat.
Yeah, you got Women's Professional.
I put WPDN on Facebook and Women's Professional Development Network. So you want to look for that on Facebook, and you want to look for Get Clients Everywhere. Cool. And I just want to acknowledge we are at the bottom of the hour. If anyone wants to stay on for a minute or two and ask Marie a question, I see a hand there. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question to Marie. Thank you, Marie. It was very interesting. I've had this people that I talked about too, and I'm actually from Marietta, and
where are you from?
Marietta, Georgia. So
oh, okay.
And what would you tell people that tell me, and people have actually told me this, that I don't have to make money, I don't have to worry about my career because I am married and my husband, you know, makes enough money to support us. So what would you tell somebody, you know, without being angry, without getting angry or making him feel stupid? Because I think it's a stupid question, but how would you, you know, handle something like that?
Well, first, there are no stupid questions. They're just questions sometimes that are asked and not asked. But you're saying that you don't need to go networking, or you don't? I'm not sure I understand.
No,
so
some people would tell me that I don't have to make any money with my art.
Oh, I see.
I don't have to worry about selling or make money because I'm married, you know. And
yeah.
So what would you tell people?
Well, I think we all have our.
To them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, everybody has their own path to walk, right? And so for some people, they don't need. I mean, I know people that do what I do, and they don't have a business, or they don't want to run it as a business. They don't want to charge people. That's called philanthropy.
I would like to know what I can tell them, because I feel that even though I am married, I do have a right to make money. So, you know.
You don't even have to respond to them. You can just say, I understand that's what you want to do, but you do what's right for you. You know, you just, if you want to do your art, if you want to sell it, you want to create patrons, you want to build a business, that's your path. Not everybody has the same path, you know. So you might not need to have to say something to someone. You don't have to have them justify, or you don't have to justify what you're doing. You know, you're doing what.
Move away from them, I guess.
Or just, you know, I mean, if somebody said, you know, that's a really great bottle of water, I could just say, thanks. I mean, I don't just say, well, no, it's terrible water. It's in a bottle. It's plastic. It's, you know, I don't have to say that. I could just acknowledge where they are. But because where they are in their life and their business doesn't mean that has to be what's true for you. You can just be true for you, because that's what your heart's pulling you to do. Okay. Does that make sense? Is that helpful?
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Marie, and thank you, Corla. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Corlia.
Corlia.
Beautiful name.
Corlia has been on every episode that we've had so far. So we've got a fan. Thank you for joining.
Well, I was just going to say that, maybe in closing, that's exactly how it works. When we're out there and we're sharing, sometimes people that you just meet are just people that you meet. Then sometimes if you're providing value and you're of interest to people, then what happens is they start to follow you. Then once they follow you, they then start to become, maybe there's a fan, or then they become maybe a raving, really interested fan, and they become a client. Sometimes people can become a client just like that. But if that's what's happening, you just met and you're doing your thing, and Corrina is always providing value, it's like she's got some great lineups in her programs that she's got because she knows cool people who do different things. Yeah.
Like Marie. Marie, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for joining us. It's really been a pleasure. And I just love being with you. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be with us. And I look forward to being with you again soon.
It's good. Reach out. Send me an email message. I'll be happy to talk with you.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Corrina. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Have a great day. Bye, Corlia.
Bye-bye.
And I guess we lost our other gal, Ginger.
Yeah, she waved goodbye.
Okay, good. Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Take care.
You can stop recording.
Yeah, I'm just getting that button.